Oh, well, hello there, YouTube. What is going on? Tony Berardi here. Thanks for tuning in. You know, this has been a very popular request amongst my friends and fellow podcasters. We're in a very competitive video world right now. I do a video podcast, but a lot of people don't watch the entire video. They're more interested in the shorts or maybe the TikToks or the Reels. So this video, I wanted to actually use this as an opportunity to share with you how I edit those long form video podcasts into Reels and TikToks and even YouTube Shorts. So that way you can reallocate those throughout social media. And they're just little 10 to 15 second, sometimes longer if you want, clips. But I do something kind of cool to where it adds a little more flair. You know, you could do things like CapCut, which is a really good phone app. But I'm going to do everything through Premiere Pro because I like to kind of spice things up a bit. And usually when I do an entire video podcast, which is sometimes an hour long, I can get 7 to 10 video clips. I'll just repost those, you know, throughout the month, right? Every few days or something like that. So let's get right into this. Okay, now real quick, we are going to get into how exactly I do these small little clips, but I'm going to show you two ways. So the first way I'm going to show you is pretty much the only way I do it, but then there's also a great way through Premiere Pro where you can do an auto sequence where it'll actually condense it and reframe it for vertical video, which is 9:16. I'm not a fan of that only because I like to kind of make little tweaks. I like to do my reel a little bit different, kind of like something like this. How do you surround yourself with positive people? Proximity is power. Who you spend most of your time with is who you eventually become. So as you can see, that's something that I put a little bit more effort into, and doing the auto reframe sequence, it won't do that. In order for me to show you kind of exactly what I do, let's just jump right into Premiere Pro. So here you go. So as you can see, this is a YouTube video, a video podcast rather, that I did by myself. I just posted this, so you could check that out. It's episode 163. It's called Good People Only is the name of the podcast. Check out the Berardi podcast if you don't already. Shameless plug. But as you can see from this, it's a decent sized episode, but all these little markers here, this is what's key before we even get into how I create the video. As you're editing your video for YouTube, something like this that you see here, I make these little markers to where I want to do Reels and TikToks. So that way when I get done posting this on YouTube, I'll go back like I am now and I'll look at this mark and I'll say, that's going to be a dope Reel or TikTok. So again, that way I'm not scrubbing through the entire video again to look for a Reel. So let's see what this is. Surrounding yourself with good people. And the quote reads, if you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. That's a good quote. So I'm going to go ahead and take this. This is how I'm going to do it. That's going to be the clip, right? These two clips right here. But before I do that, I got to create a sequence. In order to create a sequence, I simply go to File, New, Sequence. Boom. Now, depending on what type of camera you have, I already have presets built up here. But depending on what type of camera you have, there's a preset for Canon, Red, whatever you want. I like to pick the DSLR here, and then I usually go 1080p. And depending on what your frame setting is, so the program I use is called Ecamm Live. And Ecamm Live, I usually record it in 30 frames per second. So I want to go ahead and make my sequence 30 frames per second. And then I'm going to name that just to help me remember. I'm going to call it Story 9:16. Boom. And then I'm going to press OK. So now you actually have this sequence set up to where it's that vertical video, that 9:16. So you can use this for stories, for shorts, etc. Just a side tip here, come over here to the preview. This will be how your video actually shows up as a preview. But I always like to do 1/4. That's not going to give this video the best quality possible, only for the preview. It's not going to affect how you export it, but that's kind of a good practice because it'll actually help speed up your workflow. So now that we have our sequence and our 9:16, I'm gonna go back to my channel. This is the clip I wanna use, right? So I'm gonna take this, I'm just gonna simply copy it, boom. I'm gonna bring it over here to this new sequence, Command V on your Mac. Now, as you could see, I don't know if you could tell this on YouTube, but see this white frame? I purposely make that in my program, Ecamm Live, just because I like how it kind of separates it. Do it. So when I convert it to this 9:16, I don't want it to be there because it looks kind of whack, right? So I want to crop this out first. So I'm just going to go to Effects, I'm going to go to Crop, and I'm just going to crop 1 for now. You'll see why in a second. Just take out that little white line, no big deal. And I want it to be a little bit closer, kind of like that. Not too close because it's a phone. We don't want to scare people. But now if you notice, I'm only editing one clip. I'll show you why in a second. We're just going to simply make this clip perfect how we want it. Then we're going to copy and paste it to the other clips. So now that I have this position where I want this little black part, now you're probably wondering how come I don't go all the way. Me personally, as you saw from the clip before, I usually put captions right below this. And also your description is going to be in this black area. So you're not going to want to put your face in there, right? Because it's going to be blocked anyway from the captions and the description when you post that on social media. So what I like to do is this. I highlight the video I want. In this case, we're going to highlight everything. We're going to go Option, Drag, boom. I just made a copy. Here's what I do. We're going to go ahead and take this top one, this top video. We're going to make that not visible. Then we're going to come over and we're going to scale this bottom video all the way up. See that? So now that's what it looks like. But again, that looks kind of whack, right? Let's spice it up a bit. We're going to go over to our effects panel. We're going to hit blur. I like Gaussian blur. I think I'm saying that right, Gaussian blur. And I put this to the max, whatever it is. I think it's like 50. Yeah. All right, that looks a little cooler, right? Check that out. But I want to darken it a little bit. So I go to opacity, make that 50. See how much darker it is? Okay, now that's better, right? See the difference there? Now here's the kicker though. Me personally, I go to Canva and I create a lot of stuff with Canva. So I already have stuff saved. And you don't have to do this, but again, we're just looking for ways to separate our videos from other creators out there and other podcasters, right? So I have this thing called transition gradient that I made on Canva, and it's essentially just a gradient picture. See, I'll hide it and then show it. See, that's kind of cool. So I'm gonna make this position kind of like right there because I'm gonna put my captions there just so it adds a little flair. And the other thing I use is I take my logo, my Berardo podcast logo, and I have that right here. See that? But we're gonna put it up top. Boom, kind of like that. Now the reason I like to do that is because when people are watching the video, they automatically always see the Berardo podcast. So hopefully they'll look at it, they'll be like, oh, this is cool, let me go check out the podcast. And I wanna always promote that, right? There you go. So now we got this, so check this out. If you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. But what about this, Tony? Yeah, I know. This is what we were talking about before. So now we just go copy, bring it over here. We paste to make sure everything's checked off. Boom. Go to the bottom clip, copy that one, come to the other one, paste. Make sure everything's checked. Boom. How about that, huh? Now it's all there. Boom. Now, you don't have to do this, but I like me a caption. Now, you can always do captions on Instagram or TikTok because they have their own pre-built-in captions. I'm not a fan of those only because it's very limited and it just doesn't look cool. So I'm going to make mine a little bit cooler. So let's do sequence in and sequence out. So now I'm going to go to window up top here, go to text, transcript. Now it already pre-did it, but just so I could show you, retranscribe sequence is where you're going to go. Click the audio track. So in this case, it's going to be audio 1 because that's the first track that it's on. Transcribe in point and out point. Boom. Now, luckily, this is a short clip, so what doesn't take long at all, just a couple seconds. This is how I'm going to create captions, but I like to have the transcript so I could see exactly what it's there. Very easy, right? Now I go up to this CC, create captions. This is the default setting that it kind of comes up to. I like the subtitle default. I do. That's what I use. Now, style, I created this before. So once you create a font, you can make it kind of like a default style font. I created a podcast font already, maximum length in characters. I like to make it pretty low, like 8. I don't like double lines, I like single lines. And then I go to create, and now it's gonna create it. So let's see what it looks like. If you were the smartest person in the room, that's small, right? So I highlight everything. I think I usually do like 95. Let me see. Oh yeah, that's much better. I just don't like how it looks. It's in the middle a little bit. So let's down here, like right there. See, now you know why I use that gradient now, right? Again, you don't want to block that lower thirds because that's where the captions are going to read. But that's a pretty good spot right there. That's what I usually use. Now I give this a little bit more glow on the shadow. All right, cool. I like how that looks. Now let's see. If you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Okay, now if you really want to spice this up, last thing. So you could take each individual one and you could just, fill it in kind of like this. Maybe make that red. See that? Smartest, all caps, in the room. Maybe make that highlighted, make that italic. And then wrong, capitalize that. Maybe make that yellow. So now it looks a little bit better. If you were the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. I don't know if I like that red. Let's go blue. I think that's a better color. Yeah. Boom. Smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Oh yeah, much better. So that's it. So now you got your clip, right? And then of course, everything I do is I just go right back to here. If I want to grab another clip, and I'll just do this. When you surround yourself with positivity, you're more than likely to adopt empowering beliefs. I copy it. And here's what's cool about having this already set up how you want, is I just come right here, boom, copy it, and do the exact same thing. So then all I got to do is just come here, the bottom clip, copy, paste, top clip, copy, paste. And look, with very little work at all, it's already done. And then of course I just drag this over, just like that. So now I have multiple clips already set up. Captions, you do the same thing, but just make sure you go sequence in and out this way, so that way it only transcribes what you're trying to do. Does that make sense? And again, you can customize this based off your content and however you want to do it. This is just the style that I've been doing for a while, and my listeners really like it, so I typically stick to it. Last thing I want to do is I want to go to export, and this is something that I forgot a few times. And you want to export this. You obviously name it however you want. Preset, I like to do custom. You know, if you're filming in 4K, you can do that. High bit rate, that's typically what you want to do. You want to match the source. H.264, that's the video format. And then, of course, your video, you can make some adjustments here. Here's the big thing, captions. It's going to default to none when you have captions, but burn captions into video so that way you actually have your captions. It's kind of important. Source in and out. And then here's my settings if you want to take a look at that. Boom. Click export. And that's it. Now you got yourself a nice little cool clip. And again, you could do that with multiple clips, right? That's typically what I do is I'll do from one podcast, I'll create 5, 6, 7, 8 clips, little sound bites, 10, 15 seconds. And then I'll post that throughout the week or the month. Just a little pro tip here. If you decided to do this, don't add music, because when you go into Reels and TikTok and Facebook, you're going to add your own music. So use their music. Okay, so I hope this was helpful, guys. And again, if you want to know more about Ecamm Live, I'm going to leave a free trial down in the description below. So you can check that out if you're doing any type of video or production setup. And I don't think you'll be disappointed in that. Good luck, creators. Have fun, and leave a comment below. Let me know if this was useful. All right, guys. Thanks. Peace.